Tonight on KGW News, a frantic freeway rescue as police save a child with special needs who was running back and forth through traffic. Also tonight, KGW investigates homeless campers in an Oregon National Forest now facing eviction who say they have nowhere else to go.
And we know we've been out here longer than we should have been. You know, we're out here because of a lack of options.
Then the warning about a remedy recommended by the Trump administration amidst a nationwide measles outbreak.
We thought measles was virtually eliminated in the U.S., so to see these numbers is quite alarming.
And later, how a local 7th grader was honored as a hero for helping save his brother's life.
He's my brother and he means everything to me.
Welcome to the news. I'm David Mulco. We begin tonight with President Trump's 100th day in office, with the White House touting progress on inflation, immigration, and on cutting bureaucracy, while more local groups push back on what has been a whirlwind, some would call it whiplash, when it comes to policy changes. In his first 100 days, the president has signed 143 executive orders, far more than his predecessors. When it comes to immigration, illegal border crossings have plummeted as deportations have ramped up, along with questions about due process. On tariffs, the president just softened the impact on imported vehicles and parts, so tariffs are not stacked multiple times. Though when it comes to China, he hasn't given an inch.
With my China tariffs, we're ending the greatest job theft in the history of the world. China's taken more jobs from us than any country has ever taken from another country.
At that rally in Michigan, the president applauding the work of DOGE, the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, though its accounting, transparency, and tactics have come under widespread criticism, as have Alma McCarty, many of the president's cuts and threats when it comes to federal funding. And you've been taking a look at one of the latest programs impacted right here in the Northwest.
Yeah, David, the Department of Justice has terminated hundreds of grants, among them a couple to a group that helps kids going through the foster system. I sat down with the executive director of one local chapter who explained these children stand to lose the most with these cuts.
For more than a decade,
we train volunteers to advocate for children while they're in the foster care system.
Betsy Stark-Miller has led this effort in Multnomah, Washington, Columbia, and Tillamook counties.
And the judges appoint us to cases so that we can help the judge understand the breadth and depth of the case, the nuances of the case.
The court-appointed special advocates, or CASAs, she explains, serve a critical role for children who've experienced abuse or neglect.
They need advocacy. They need support. They need to have an advocate show up in the courtroom for them, and that's what we do. It is a deeply embedded practice for our judges to respect and trust CASAs, and that comes because we make a difference to those kids in foster care.
Despite that trust and respect and decades of congressional support, the DOJ slashed federal funding to the national CASA program. In a notice of termination writing, this award is being terminated because it no longer effectuates the program goals or agency priorities.
There's no sense to this.
While the program she runs locally currently doesn't rely on federal funds for this year's budget, Stark-Miller says other programs in Oregon and nationwide certainly do. And while they might forego immediate impacts, she says there will be impacts long term.
I think the thing that hurts me the most when I think about this impact is it's going to hurt the kids the most, and that's pretty devastating.
And to fill in the gaps, CASA for Children is pushing for Oregon lawmakers to pass 2 bills this session. One would replace federal funding for crime victims that was lost, and the other would increase state funding for these services. David?
Yeah, some of these choices now falling to the states and local jurisdictions. Thank you, Alma. Meanwhile, some local church leaders and community groups are suing the Trump administration in federal court, asking to bring back a policy that protected people from immigration raids in locations that include churches, schools, and hospitals. Augustana Lutheran Church in Northeast Portland is one of the plaintiffs.
You have to restructure your whole sanctuary, our 2 buildings. So staff meetings, training congregation. We have many immigrants in our congregation. You have to change how you open doors and lock them. You have to change signage.
And I've said this 1,000 times. When you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien from ICE, you will be prosecuted, judge or not.
The White House rescinded the so-called sensitive locations policy at the start of the year, with Homeland Security saying it, quote, gives law enforcement the ability to do their jobs. On New at 11, health officials are warning about misinformation around measles as vaccination rates dwindle and new cases continue to rise. Catherine Cook talked with a local pediatrician about what parents need to know. Catherine?
David, they say the best way to keep from catching and spreading the measles is still to get vaccinated. That hasn't changed. What is new is misleading medical advice coming from the Trump administration, which doctors say could do real harm.
We thought measles was virtually eliminated in the U.S., so to see these numbers is quite alarming.
Dr. Scott Spencer is a pediatrician at Pediatric Associates of the Northwest. Like most physicians, he's encouraging parents to get the MMR vaccine to prevent the measles.
We know it's safe and effective.
But numbers from the CDC suggest some people are still refusing to get the vaccine. As of Friday, 29 states have reported 884 confirmed measles cases and 3 deaths. That includes at least 5 cases in Washington, but none in Southwest Washington. And so far, no confirmed cases in Oregon in 2025. Dr. Spencer warns the unvaccinated are at high risk of catching the contagious virus.
The flu can infect on average 3 other people if you get the flu. Measles can infect 20 other people if you get measles, and it can harbor in a room for up to 2 hours.
For Hannah Schoen-Riesberg, facts like that informed her decisions around son Julian.
He's up to date on all his vaccines. We haven't held back on any of that, and he's never had a bad vaccine reaction either.
What does concern her is a lot of what health experts are calling misinformation, specifically some shared by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He recently suggested alternatives to the measles vaccine, including vitamin A as an effective treatment for the virus.
Vitamin A, while it is a treatment for measles, is only really recommended if you have severe measles in the United States and only if under medical guidance.
In fact, the CDC warns overuse of vitamin A can lead to toxicity and cause damage to the liver, bones, central nervous system, and skin. Dr. Spencer circles back to his original advice, backed by 60 years of success.
In history, the reason we invented these vaccines is to prevent children from dying and having serious problems. And to see them come back is really terrifying.
Dr. Spencer says it's important that parents feel comfortable and confident that they're getting the right scientific information to make the best decision to get the vaccine. He suggests reaching out to your doctor to learn more. David.
Never hurts to ask questions. Thanks, Catherine. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. A Wilsonville man was sentenced to 25 years in prison today for sexually abusing a child for several years. 38-year-old Eric Michael Shaw Stearns was convicted earlier this month on multiple charges. The abuse began when the child was 6 and continued until they were 10. Prosecutors have sought a longer 50-year sentence. Attorneys made closing arguments today in the retrial of a former Uber driver accused of shooting and killing one man, as well as shooting and injuring a witness during a road rage incident in downtown Portland. Jeffrey Hammond's team claims self-defense, with the prosecution arguing the use of force was not justified. During the previous trial, Hammond was convicted of assault and weapons charges, but the jury deadlocked on murder and attempted murder. The new jury will begin deliberating on those last 2 charges tomorrow. And REI's former Pearl District location is set to go up for auction. The outdoor retailer left the 38,000 square foot space at Northwest 14th and Johnson more than a year ago, citing theft and neighborhood crime. The building's owners tell the Portland Business Journal it's been difficult to find a buyer for such a large retail space. They now think it could be split into retail, showroom, and office use. The auction starts in June. The opening bid, $2 million. Okay, let's take a look outside on this Tuesday night with sprinkles this morning giving way to the sun, with plenty more gorgeous days on the way if you're a fan of sunshine. Matt Safino's here with a first look at your weather impact forecast. Matt?
Yeah, the day sure ended differently from how it started, and this is how it ended out in the Dalles. A great sunset here, a couple of jet conch arrows ripping across the sky in the dry air aloft, and the air is drying out down below. We had wind gusts about 40 miles an hour in the Dalles earlier today, but that has all settled down. So in Portland, we picked up 0.15 of an inch of rain today. It was only day number 11 with measurable rain, and that 0.15 of an inch was the 3rd largest amount of rain we had in any single day this entire month. All of which is to say we didn't get a lot of rain this month, which I'm sure you're aware. The total just barely over an inch. The average for the month is 2.89 inches, so We're going to finish about 35% of average, which of course is low. There are showers coming our way Saturday. I'll let you know later on if they'll be any heavier than what we saw this morning, and this morning was not very heavy. Tomorrow, not only is there no rain, there's not even any cloud cover to really talk about. It'll be colder in the morning because of the clear sky tonight, down to 41, but we'll top out at 71. Gets even warmer on Thursday, David.
Appreciate you putting it in perspective. Thanks, Matt. Tonight, nearly 150 homeless campers in the Deschutes National Forest have less than 2 days to leave a patch of public land near Bend, one some have lived on for years, so the Forest Service can clean things up, it says, and reduce the risk of wildfires. Investigative reporter Kyle Leboshi went to meet some of the campers who told him they have no idea where to go.
Scattered among the Ponderosa pines in the Deschutes National Forest sits a collection of homeless encampments. Tents, cars, and campers dot the public land southeast of Bend. Nearly 150 people call this home.
Life hits you hard sometimes, so you're not ready for it, and you end up out here. Like I keep saying, everybody's one bad paycheck, one poor decision away from being homeless.
Chris Daggett is a third-generation Bend resident who moved into the forest roughly 8 years ago.
I've probably been out here the longest out of everybody.
He and his girlfriend, Mandy Bryant, live in a fifth-wheel RV along with their dogs.
We know that, staying out here isn't permanent. We know we've been out here longer than we should have been. We are out here because of a lack of options.
And soon there may be fewer options. On May 1st, the U.S. Forest Service plans to evict homeless campers living in the Deschutes National Forest. Nearly 50 square miles will be temporarily closed for about a year. The Forest Service says it needs to clear this area to reduce wildfire hazards and maintain a healthy forest. The project has been in the works since 2019 and involves mowing, thinning, clearing, and prescribed burns. The area south of Bend will be completely off limits to all day-use activities like hiking and biking. There will be no overnight camping. The Forest Service has posted signs around the closure area. Gates will block access roads, and large boulders block off dirt roads. The Forest Service warned the area will be patrolled, and officers can issue citations including fines up to $5,000 and up to 6 months in jail. Local law enforcement will help when the closure goes into effect.
Most of us have been here for a while. We're established and we don't have another place to go. I wish that they'd be a little bit lenient and give us some more time at least,
In January, the Forest Service announced the closure, and officers have distributed flyers warning about the upcoming deadline. Many of the encampments are spread across public lands near China Hat Road, with more people living in an area called Horse Butte. Previously, homeowners who lived nearby have spoken out at Bend City Council meetings.
Why don't you open your doors to your homes and your properties for their tents, trash, trailers, drugs, feces, and violence? If you actually care about Bend, you need to stop this madness.
We're not all bad people. We're humans too. We deserve compassion.
Those living in the camps feel they're being blamed unfairly.
We understand we should be here, and we definitely can't be here forever. We probably shouldn't have been here in the first place, but it's the only place we had to go.
Bend faces a significant lack of affordable housing due to population growth, limited new housing supply, and wages that just haven't kept pace with soaring home prices.
Yeah, I can't afford to live anywhere anymore. I mean, you gotta be making some pretty good money to afford a house here right now.
Chris and Mandy plan to move in with relatives, at least temporarily.
My mom lives here in town, and she's going to let us go stay there for a month.
But others don't have the same option. Their vehicles are broken down, shelter beds are full, and they're struggling to find someplace to go.
Yeah, it's definitely stressful. I feel bad for people that don't know what they're going to be doing.
Homeless advocates asked a federal judge to step in at the last minute and delay Thursday's deadline. They argued the Forest Service didn't consider homeless campers when evaluating the impact of this closure. But this afternoon, the judge rejected that request, allowing the project to move forward as scheduled. Kyle Leboshi, KGW News.
New at 11, Portland Public Schools held its first public comment session on the budget as the district faces a deficit. Last week, PPS unveiled a preliminary $2.4 billion budget proposal that includes $40 million in cuts and the elimination of approximately 280 full-time positions across schools and central offices. In tonight's session, teachers testified that the cuts could make schools that are already understaffed even worse.
Because we went on strike for these very things that we are told that we're going to have more of, and we don't have it because nobody can give it to us because we are not staffed appropriately.
The district's budget troubles are partly attributed to declining enrollment, which has dropped about 10% since 2020.